welcome to this Google Digital Garage series, part of the Local Enterprise Office Look for Local campaign. Look for Local aims to highlight small Irish businesses in every sector, asking that the public look to support companies in their own locality when purchasing goods and services. This Garage series has been designed to prepare small businesses for the reopening of the economy and to ensure that they are in a strong position to take advantage of the huge move to online that has taken place since the pandemic first began. This is a series of expert-led webinars, and each one is worth watching. If you miss one, they will be available online once the series is finished. There will also be a marketing toolkit and a national database of companies available. Contact your local Leo for details. Thousands of small businesses across the country have already availed of the Local Enterprise Trading Online Voucher scheme. These vouchers are designed to assist small businesses with up to 10 employees to trade more online, boost their sales, and reach new markets. If your business has not yet availed of a voucher, then please speak to your Leo about how it can support your online success. Leos across the country are running a wide range of mentoring and training supports for businesses to help them get back up and running over the summer months. So check with your Leo to see what events they are running and how they can support you. This exciting partnership with Google is part of this summer's Local Enterprise Office Look for Local campaign that will be running in July. It will spotlight Leo clients from across the country and encourage everyone to look for local when they are buying goods and services. If you would like to get more information on the Look for Local campaign or how to get involved, then please contact your local enterprise office. Thank you very much and enjoy the webinar.
There we go. First issue of the day sorted. I have managed to unmute myself. Apologies for that. Welcome, everybody, to this Google Digital Garage training session, all about how to get started with Google Analytics. As you've already heard, today's webinar is a collaboration between the local enterprise offices and Google Digital Garage, and it's part of the Look for Local campaign, which is going to help you to best prepare your business to maximize all the opportunities that are out there as the economy reopens. My name's Christine, and I am your trainer for Google's digital skills training program, the Google Digital Garage this morning. I'm a marketeer by trade. I've been doing marketing since before digital was even a thing, and I am the kind of marketer who really starts to get excited when I can test things and try things and measure them. And that's why I love the session we're about to do today. Sometimes a lot of people will think that the data is a little too intimidating for them. Maybe they didn't like maths at school and they don't want to get involved because they know they should, but it's a little bit maybe like taking your medicine. And if you can find something else that you could be doing, you might find it. By the end of today, I am desperate to ensure that you feel positive and confident and you really want to go ahead and look for that data. Alongside me in my mission, I have the wonderful Amy. Now, Amy is also one of our Google Digital Garage coaches, and she is our moderator for today. So Amy's already in the chat. Some of you might even have met her there already. Amy is a font of knowledge. She is an absolutely amazing resource to have alongside us today. She's going to be interacting with you. She'll be answering some of your questions. She'll be giving you useful links. She may even be asking you a few questions of her own. You can see that she's in the chat right now, right there, and you can identify the moderator. First up, she's called Amy. Secondly, she has a little blue spanner next to her name that pretty much shows that she's the one in charge. If you want to chat with Amy, you're going to need to be signed into your YouTube account. So you can either sign up or sign in by clicking on the right there. By the time you've done that, you'll be able to chat along with Amy, and all of the rest of the room as well, I guess. A little bit of housekeeping just before we start. If you have any trouble viewing the webinar, just try refreshing your page right now, or ask your trainer to unmute herself, and then maybe you'll be able to hear things as well. If you want to join in the instant chat, as I say, you need the YouTube account, so get yourself sorted out with that. Another great reason for doing it is that I'm going to pause throughout the session and we'll be able to take some questions. So Amy will answer questions as we go. She'll also send me if there are some really great, interesting questions that the whole group might want to hear. She's going to send those to me. We will also be very brave a little bit later and actually go live into Google Analytics. So it's a great opportunity for you if you want to, if there's something specific that you want us to take a look at, try and keep it, not so in depth that it's going to bore the rest of the group, but I'll be able to give you a good tour around the Google Analytics actually live on the site, rather than just showing you pictures of it or listening to me talk around it. So we're going to pause throughout those sessions. So do get your questions into that chat box there. We're running lots of Google Digital Garage webinars. In fact, this is our 5th webinar and final, unfortunately. I can't believe it's happened so quickly. It's our 5th and final webinar in the series in collaboration with the local enterprise offices as part of that Look for Local campaign. So if you want to check out the rest of the webinars, then we have had, going way back, let's check what we do. We looked originally at digital marketing strategy. A lot of what we're talking about today ties in very, very closely with the digital marketing strategy webinar. So if you saw that webinar all of those weeks ago, then it might be great to revisit that in conjunction with what you learned today, because the measurement that we're talking about will really bring that out to life. We also spoke about how you could get your business visible online and get started with search engine optimization. And then last week, we had our webinar on making your website work for you. So you've got, and once this webinar is up as well, you will have a series of 5 webinars that we will leave live for a little while that you can go back and refresh on if you want. And I can see already that Amy is copying and pasting those links into the chat for you. If there's any that we mention along the way that she's specific, she'll let you know which they are. Also, it's worth checking out the new Google for Small Business website, which is a brand new one-stop shop for all the products, tools, and training that you might need to help your business move forward. We've built a simple step-by-step online success guide. It'll help you to show up on Google, create or improve your website, reach more customers and build loyalty, and also how to work effectively from anywhere. Amy will also share a link in the chat, but I think it's probably also linked in the description box below. Finally, if you've got any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form, which is also linked down in the description box. Reason for doing that: 1, we love the feedback. We will improve what we offer based on what real people tell us. But also, once you've completed the feedback form, a link will appear and you can actually download today's content. So alongside the rewatching of the training, you'll have a reference to go back to. So that might be of great use to you. All right, that's all the housekeeping done. So what we're going to do today is we are going to think about your business and its data needs. We're going to try and get away from what I think a lot of training courses and things do, which is take the data in isolation, and they get big nerds like me getting really excited about data and numbers. That's not going to help the small business. What we're going to do today is really keep focusing on the business and what the business's goals are and how data and analytics can support and help you to understand how your business is doing. Then we'll take a look at some of the insights reports that are available. We'll move quite quickly through that section simply because I really want to spend as much time as we can together looking at the system itself. So I'll show you the still pictures of the different reports, but then we'll go live. James, who's working all the tech today, always gets a little worried with me when I say we're going to do something real and live, but we'll go live into it and we'll take a really good look at the system. So as I say, do get your questions in throughout and we will try and get to, and I'll give you a kind of tour, I'll give you a guided tour of Google Analytics, but we'll also take some of your questions if you've got them, if we can, which, just puts me completely on the spot. It's all about staying on the spot. Okay, so first up, before you can get looking at the data, you're going to need to have a Google Analytics account. And I also want you to think about you as a business and how the data will be able to support it. So we're going to take a look at those two things. I can see some people are already letting us know. What would be really good to know is what your business goals are. So if you pop those in the chat, we can get to those in a little minute. What your business is and what your goals are, and we'll see how they're going to apply to what's going on. Because I want to talk about Google Analytics. I've mentioned it quite a lot already, but I'm very conscious that some of you might not yet be aware of what Google Analytics is, and especially not what it can do for you. So Google Analytics is by far the most used web analytics tool on the planet. It is incredibly powerful, and it will basically, if you have a website, you have to have a website to use Google Analytics, because the point of Google Analytics is to track the clicks made on a particular website, and you can only track the clicks on a website that you own. So first up, very important to know that this is your website, your data, you're the one who can see what's going on. So I think that's really important to know. So some people say, oh, this would be great information to have for a competitor. Yeah, it would. It would be fantastic information to have on your competitors. You can't, which means that they can't have it on you. So it's a fair deal all round. And it shows you what clicks are made. But more so than more clicks, I want you to remember that behind every single click of the mouse, there's a human being who's looking for some information, who's looking to buy something, who's looking to visit somewhere. So if you have a website, you can learn about the people, where they come from, what they do on your website, and what makes them leave again. Okay, so it's really, really valuable information, and it can measure a lot more than just, I think that the easiest way to think about web analytics would be if I had an online shop, I'd be able to see who came to my shop, what they bought, how much they spent, and what the products and the values. Which is, you have to set all those things up, but it's a fairly simple way to get your head around it. Much, much deeper than that. You can use Google Analytics even if you don't sell things. Most of the websites I work with don't directly sell on their website. They're not all online shops. There are lots of websites for lots of businesses where it's about information provision. It's about alerting people to a cause, or getting them to pick up the phone and ask for a quote or book an appointment. So you can absolutely track things that aren't just a binary, did they buy something or not? You can also measure your offline marketing. Okay. And this is one of my favorite things to do with a lot of the businesses. Yes, you can see how if you were super whizzy, fancy business with lots of bells and whistles online, how that would be helpful. But what if you're a business, maybe you have a dog walking business, and one of the ways that you think you find clients is you have a business card printed and you go around to the local cafes, especially the dog-friendly ones, and you pin the business card up, or the flyer up, or the leaflet up. How do you know whether that's having any effect on the people who end up ringing you? If you go to a trade show and you have a lovely stand and you want to see whether the investment in your stand translated into people actually seeing you at the show and coming to visit you. Well, if in either of those situations, you could have a specific landing page for a specific URL that you add to your website just for that show or just for that business card. It doesn't have to look particularly any different to your own homepage. It might just be a redirect coming through. But basically what you are doing then is you're tagging that business card. So when, what do? You see the business card on the notice board, or you pick up the leaflet at the trade show, and you take out your device and you visit the website that's on the card. So you'd be able to measure, if you put cards up, you'd be able to measure how much of the traffic you got to your website was actually people coming from that business card. It's not going to be a perfect measure, but it's going to give you a much closer idea than just putting out lots of cards and leaflets and wondering how people heard about you. And so you could have 2 different leaflets with 2 slightly different web addresses on them, and then you'd be able to compare them. You can see I'm getting back into my nerdy chat category, but you can definitely measure offline and online. And if you go back to the digital marketing strategy webinar, one of the things to do is when you are designing your digital marketing activity, to make sure you consider the measurement way back at the design stage. When we talk about digital marketing strategy, we've got our, measurement always comes kind of last. But that's only because we need to put it in a straight line to talk through it and discover it. Really, your measurement system should be brought in right from the time when you're doing your thinking. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we want to measure it. This is how we know whether we're succeeding or not. Then you can get nerdy and run lots of experiments. It's a lot of fun. So the kinds of things that lots and lots of businesses, there are so many. And one of the things that people sometimes say to me is, I opened up Google Analytics, I looked at it, and it was really scary, and I didn't know where to start, so I closed it right back down again. That is what I'm hoping we avoid for you lot today, because there are so many things that you could track, you could measure using tools like Google Analytics, that it's sometimes the art to it is working out, okay, well, what should I measure? What's going to actually accurately reflect what it is that I'm doing? How am I going to find some good, strong measures that help me understand my business more? And everything, there is probably as many answers to that questions as there are businesses and websites out there. But a really good question to think is, okay, why do I have a website? What do I want people to do when they get there? And then, are there any things that are important to me on that website? Okay, how can I see whether people take these actions? And it might be download a PDF, which is it might be download a brochure. It might be to sign up for an email, to sign up for your email newsletter. It might be to buy something. It might be to watch a particular video, to click a button on a mobile and call me up, to fill out that contact us form. Whatever it is, it's going to be different for your business, but it's really important to think about those business questions. Okay, so kinds of questions. Who are the people? Who are my visitors? It's a great question. Where are they? What devices are they using? What language do they speak? They might want to find how they found me. What were they doing just before they got to me? Did they search me up? Did they click on an ad? Did they come in from my social media? What are they doing on my website? What are you doing on my website? What actual clicks are they making? Do I make it easy for them to get from the page that they come in at to the action I want them to take? People don't always come in on your homepage and follow a nice route around your website. People are tricksy like this. They'll come in at a deep page which has the exact information they want in. The shorter you can make the number of clicks they have to take, the much stronger that user experience is going to be, the better user experience is. And really important is what they're worth to me. But remember, what they are worth doesn't have to just be euro in a shopping basket. There's lots of steps you can take along the way, things you can measure along the way. These are going to be your goals as you go through, that don't have to be that final euro into the shopping basket. It can be whether they downloaded something, whether they signed up for something, whether they watched something. So lots of interesting things you can measure along the way. But before you do any of that, you're going to have to set yourself up with the account. Now, you may be lucky. You might speak to whoever does your website, if it wasn't you, and you might speak to your developer, and you might ask them to put Google Analytics onto your account, and they'll say, oh, fantastic, somebody's finally asked me for this. And find out that Google Analytics has been running on your website since the website was built. That's what my favorite web developers do. And they'll just say, nobody ever asked it for me. Here's the account details. That's fantastic. And I hope that happens. If it doesn't, either you or they is going to have to set the account up. I would always suggest that the business owner is also the owner of the analytics account, and then you can give access to whoever you want. But if that person then moves on, they don't take your access to your data with them. So how you go about doing it is go to analytics.google.com. and choose a name for your account. Then people sometimes get a bit worried about, I have to give it a name. What does the name mean? The name just helps you to identify it. So for instance, you might have a retail site and a wholesale site that are different websites that you want to measure separately. So you could call it whatever your business name is, retail, whatever your business is, wholesale. You might have several different lines of business. And if you have different websites for those, then you would be able to see what they are within the one user account. That's all you're doing. You're linking a user account to your Google account. So choose a name for your account and then choose an industry category. Industry categories are, I find, really useful. So you choose from the list of the industry categories that are closest to what it is you do. So why they're really important is it's for benchmarking. So everybody whose website, I said you can't see other people's data, but what you can do is get a high level, anonymized, aggregated view of people who are in the same sort of industry as you are. And within that, you can also do by, the size of the website as well. So for example, if I were, say I have a boutique hotel, I'm in the accommodation or hotel or hospitality industry or whatever the actual categories are. But I want to compare, when I do some benchmarking and compare, is my bounce rate good or bad? The way somebody comes and looks at my website, I don't want to be comparing myself against all the huge hotel chains with, their 400-bed hotels and they've got 40 of them across the country or whatever. That's not really comparing like with like. So I can compare myself against other small accommodation venues. And the way somebody goes and buys a pair of shoes or a packet of pencils is very different from the way somebody goes to find out if they're making a purchase like a new tractor or a piece of kitchen equipment. So buyers, the kind of reasons that people go to websites means that their behavior is different on those specific sites. So with benchmarking, you can compare yourself against other businesses that are similar to yours, which is a lot, which is pretty useful actually in some cases. So the next thing you need, so you've got your website and you've got your Google Analytics, okay? The next thing you need to do is make them talk to each other. So this is done through a tracking code, and this is a unique code that you take from your Google Analytics account and you pop it into your website, okay? Things to bear in mind. Number one, you only have to do this for the once. Number two, you're not the first person who's had to do this, okay? So I've done this quite a few times over my career with different companies that I work with and things. And I still, every time, have to refresh myself on where to find the code and how to link it into different websites. So don't worry about that. There is lots and lots of help guides. I'll also mention at this point, we're talking about Google Analytics. There is a brand new version of Google Analytics called Google Analytics 4. If the data you see and the codes and things I'm talking about look a little bit different, that's because you're on the shiny new version, which is just because you know what Google are like and the internet are like. They don't sit still for too long. These things are always improving, always evolving. So just bear that in mind. If it's not a tracking code, then you'll be looking at, you'll still have to do exactly the same process. You'll just have to, I think they call it a tag, but I'll get Amy to double check and she will, and I'll remind you exactly what it was. But basically with Google Analytics, you go to your admin. This is the first look actually into Google Analytics itself, but you'll come to admin at the top. You'll come down to tracking info and then down to tracking code, or you go into search and you type in tracking code. And if you get a code that has UA, a bunch of numbers and a -1, then you're in what I think is the original Google Analytics, because it's the one I've used over the last few years, but it might well be that it's the third version, because these things are always changing, always improving. And what then happens is you add that tracking code to the top of every single page in your website. And the minute that that's added, or as soon as it's propagated around the system, your website starts to be, the clicks start to be counted. Okay. So How do you get it onto your website? It has to go onto the top of every page. That sounds like an awful lot of work. Not a bit of it, because you're not the first person who's had to do this. So you either give the code to the developer and the developer sorts it all out for you and they will know exactly how to do it. Or if you've built the site yourself, say you've used something like WordPress, Wix, or GoDaddy, there's normally a guide on their site. I just go to whatever website builder I've used, go to their help pages and type in Google Analytics, and there will be either a guide to do it, or if it's a forum, there'll be lots of people telling you how to go about doing it. In WordPress, for example, you can either install the Google Analytics plugin, which just sits on, you just install it from your store and off you go with it. Or some themes, some templates are so helpful that they know so many people want to measure these things that they put just as a box like this, a little a box that already says Google Analytics, and all you have to do is paste your code across. Okay. And once your unique ID, you've basically, by putting it onto the website, you've proven that you own that website, because otherwise, how would you get into the back end and put your analytics code on? So therefore, it starts to count those clicks for you. Okay? Right. So, what are you trying to achieve? This is really important. Before you go off measuring, you need to think about, well, what am I trying to achieve? What do I want to measure? So it's really important to think about your objectives and your business objectives. And as I say, if you want to be reminded of all this, jump back to that very first week when we talked about digital marketing strategy, and think about your business objectives, because your online objectives should match very, very closely with your business objectives, or rather your online objectives should support your business objectives. Okay, so think about why you have a website. Think about, if somebody comes to your website, what do you want them to do? Now, this is where the analytics side can actually help with the design side. Because if you sit and do this and think, well, the most thing that I want them to do is to complete this form to ask for a quote, or complete this form to book a table, or sign up for my email newsletter so I can send them an email, or whatever it is. And you can have more than one action that you want to track. Okay, well, how do I make it when I design my site really blinking obvious that that's what I want them to do? So don't hide. First up, don't hide what you actually want people to do right down at the bottom, and make them read through all kinds of stuff before they get to the action. If I come to your website, I know it's you I want to help, I just want to book a quote, make that easy for me to do. All right. So think about how you make that user journey, that user experience, as easy as possible for people to complete the actions you want them, and then start tracking whether they might do them or not. So what you might do is you might think, right, here's my data. And then on this particular date, I made it easier to book with me. What happens to the data after that? Do more people get through to booking? Do they actually spend less time on your site because they get them there quicker? All right. So think about those actions. Think about what you want people to achieve as a business. And then to move from those objectives through to actions, this is where you bring in the data side of things. Okay. So remember, when you're looking at data, you're looking at human behavior. So you might have an objective of to drive 25% more bookings. Now, as we all know, who have attended digital strategy, I would make that a SMART objective. So I'd want to make sure it's maybe a bit more specific. Drive 25% more bookings through web sales via this particular platform, and then I'd put a time limit on it within the next 3 months, by the end of summer, whatever it is. Or month on month. It might be that I have an ongoing target to increase month on month. So think about that objective. Make sure it's a SMART objective. Jump back into digital marketing strategy if you want to. Then my question might be, okay, how do I drive more bookings? I've made it easy. First up, I've made it easy to book. I've done that. I've looked at the user experience. Okay. Well, my question might be, well, who are my online customers? What do I know about them? Where are they booking from? Learn some, and a lot of these questions, often the answers to them lead to more questions, because you'll get a piece of data that you use your brain and turn into an insight. And then that will answer more questions, ask more questions from it. That's why I love it. It's so fascinating because you're thinking about humans and what they're actually doing. So the objective to drive more bookings. The question is, who is my online customer? If I go into Google Analytics and check out the audience reports, I can start to learn about the people behind the clicks. Where in the world are they based? What language are they speaking? What devices are they using? Okay. And then I can take the action to target more people like them. I'll show you some examples as we go through of this kind of question that's led to real business change. Okay, so this is it's a 4-part plan to get you from that objective. So you might just want to pop down these headings: objective, question, data, and action. And as you think of what the objectives are, think of the kinds, and it doesn't just have to be one question. You might, within your objective of drive 25% more bookings, you might have, who's my online customer as my first question. Who are they? And then it might be, well, how do they find me? Or it might be, how long do they spend? Am I making it easy for them to get to the booking process itself? We'll talk about all this as we go through. And the other thing I want to say is those business goals. So I've mentioned a few times that you might have important actions on your website. So, for instance, not just did they buy something, although that's super important to track. And if you do have an online store, then there are different ways you can set it up. If you're using, an e-commerce site, most of them have a pre-built goals function where you can, once they're talking to your Google Analytics, you can set up the different stages of your checkout process, for example. And so we call those the things you want people to achieve are your goals. Okay. And you can set up within the conversions area of Google Analytics, you can set up goals, but the goal might be to sign up for your newsletter. And the goal might be to download a particular PDF, or a goal might be to spend enough time on this particular page to have watched the video. The goals don't just have to be finished completed tasks. They could be those steps they take along the way to that sale. So although we're saying conversions and goals, they're the steps along the way that are going to bring them down through that sales funnel. Okay. So if you have some particular content, and ask yourself why that piece of content is there, if there's a real reason for it to be there, because I wanted visitors to sign up for this, or I wanted people to fill in this or watch this, then that's something that's worth tracking. The other thing is, if you've got information and items on your website that you're not that bothered about whether people take those actions, think about whether you even need them there at all. Because the more stuff that's on your website, remember to take things off your website as often as you're putting new things up, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, we're going to jump in and just check out those questions. I can see, oh gosh, we've got so many people with us today. This is so lovely. So we've got people who are looking to understand how users are experiencing the website, what content is landing. Fantastic. So when we're looking at which content is engaging with people, we might look at the time they spend looking at different pages. I can show you how to do that, Aoife. Ellen is setting up a new gym, nutrition and wellness center. Oh, amazing. It's a new business. How they're going to gain awareness. So we can look at when people are finding you, how they're finding you. Things like if you go and do social media campaigns, how can you track those through? Or are the leaflets you put up or the adverts you put in the local paper? You can have different URLs for each of those and track those coming through. New online shop, trying to get people to buy. Fantastic. Sell more online. Amazing. Yep. We've got lots of people wanting to actually drive website sales, which is fantastic. So we take a look at that. There is also a question from Carolina Cruz, which is about WordPress and analytics plugins. Because you've got quite a specific plugin there, I won't be able to help you with that, because we'd have to go and have a tinker behind and look behind the scenes. But if you already have a Google Analytics plugin, then I would imagine you can look at the data in Google Analytics using that same tracking code, that same account would be how I would probably be looking to do it, rather than opening a whole new Google Analytics account. All righty, let's take a look at discovering those insights. All right, so how do we go about doing it? I'm going to show you some kind of still pictures of some of the things that you can measure. You might want to, I think on most of these, there's going to be like a pathway. And if you think from what we've said already, that this is the kind of, what's good about these, the ones I'm about to show you, is like, when I take you live into the system, I'll be clicking around and I'll try and remember to talk you through it. Whereas on these screenshots, it does have the pathway written down. So you might want to jot those down as we go. But what happens first is you go into Google Analytics and you're hit with something like this. So this is one of the dashboards, and this has got so much information on it. And this is what people say. It looks pretty. There's lots of pictures and graphs, but I don't really understand what it means. So I'm going to close it down and go and do something else that I'm a little bit more familiar with doing. Okay, so I don't want you to worry about that. What we do have, and I'll show you this now here, although it's very tiny on your screen, I will show it to you later properly in a lot bigger way, is we have home at the top. If you ever get yourself down into lots and lots of rows of reports and you don't know how to get back, go back home and start at the beginning again. Very important. All right, so if you find yourself getting yourself a little bit tangled up, which people do, then use the home and go back to the top. All right. Then we'll come down and the kind of reports. Now, I will take you into real time, but the normal time I use real time is I will use real time just to check that everything's connected and working properly, because I can see in real time who's actually on my website. We will look at that together. That's our little bit of audience participation in a few minutes. But for right now, don't worry about it too much. Then we have these areas. We've got our side menu of audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. All right. So what do all those things mean? These four main areas of reporting. I will say as well, if you're into the new area of Google Analytics 4, it looks slightly different, but you're still going to get to the same kinds of information. All right. So the kinds of things we want to know who the people are. We want to know as much as we can about the people, so where they are in the world, what devices they're using, who they are. That's going to be in the audience. Any characteristics we know of those users are going to be sat within audience. Then we have a suite of reports under each of these. So within the acquisition menu, we're going to have lots of information about how people found us, how we acquired them, how we reached out and grabbed them and got them to come to our website. So what were they doing just before? Did they find us through search? Did they find us through our ads? Did they find us through social media and arrive to us? Behavior comes next. And remember, this is all about human behavior, clicks made by fingers on actual people. So what are they doing on my website? From the second they join my website, the path they take through to what they do on the way and where they leave, that's all within the behavior. And those three areas will be pretty much standard setup for you. So we'll take you through those. Then we come on to conversions. Conversions is all about what they're worth to you, which is why this is the kind of bespoke area. This is where you say, if the most important thing is that somebody downloads my brochure, or the most important thing is that they fill out my contact us form, then those are the things that you will have as your conversions that are working as your goals, and you'll set those up. So let's get to grips with audience acquisition and behavior first, and then I'd suggest you take that on a level and look at goals as well. So the kinds of things you can report on numbers, basically, a count of things. They're your metrics. So the number of visitors, the number of page views, the time people spent on your site, or the time they spent on different pages. So if I can look at the time they spent on my site, then I'll start to know how interesting it is to them, maybe. Because I can then slice and dice those things by the dimensions, the whats. So the which city or region did they come from? Where were they referred from? So how did they get to me? The browser type, which browser are they on? what operating system they use. So all of those. So I can look at the number of visitors from different cities and regions. So I take my metric and then I slice it up with the kinds of details that I want to see. And all of a sudden it starts to get really, really interesting. Or it does if you are a big nerd like I am. Okay. So the reporting can tell you lots of things: how people heard about you, which pages they're visiting, the device they're using, all the things we've already spoken about. Okay. So if you want to know where people come from, this is my favorite report. I will always start a session by going to the traffic report, the channel report, to see. It's in acquisition because it's about where I found people. I'll go to all traffic and look at channels. This will tell me whether people are coming in through search, through referral, directly through social media. Okay. So what I'm suggesting is, if that's what you think would be really interesting to you, jot this down. Just do acquisition, all traffic, then channels, and that will be your menu path. They're like the breadcrumbs. Hansel and Gretel skipping through the forest. This is what they're going to film. But actually, that's a really poor analogy. I've always thought that was a really silly thing to call them, because, of course, Hansel and Gretel got lost. You're not going to get lost because you have this lovely, solid path that's going to take you through the website. Now, you might want to see where people came to from your site. So a landing page report, a landing page is the page that people arrive on when they first get to your site. And with a landing page, that's the first page that's loaded. Does everyone come in on your homepage and then follow their way through? Quite possibly not, but until you look at it, you won't know that. So if you go to behavior, there's an arrow in the wrong page. So it's behavior, site content, then landing pages. That will take you to look at the pages that people are coming in at, and how long they're spending on different pages as well is the kind of information you're going to see there. And you'll start to learn in the behavior area and in the site content area. You'll be able to see, so site landing page is one of them. You can see all pages, and you can also see exit pages, which are the pages that people leave from. So how they come in and how they leave again, and what they do in the middle. So take down that as your path if that's what you want to see. If you want to see, I've said about devices, can be really important to see how your visitors are coming in. So check out the audience, because it's about the audience. And you can go to mobile and then overview. There's lots of things within the audience. It's worth having a little click around within the audience reports, because it'll tell you lots of things about the audience, what they're browsing on, the languages they're using. That's the technology that they're using, the browsers or the devices as well. So go to audience, mobile overview, and you'll see how many people are coming in on different devices. Then we've got the location report. I'm going to take you into the location report in a minute, but I find it a fascinating one. So if you're getting traffic from a location you're not serving, maybe it's time to look at why you're getting that traffic and whether there's an offering you can give them. So go to audience, because it's about the people. Go to geo and then location. All right. If you want to learn more about how people are coming in through social, not all the big platforms give access to their data. So it's not as deep a link, because you can't go all the way back into the socials, but you can get an overview of social if you go to acquisition, because it's about how you found people, and then go to the social overview. You'll be able to see some of those, how those interactions are happening with the social. If you want to look at what's happening on social, every social platform has its own analytics, and you can apply the theories and the practices that we've looked at within Google Analytics, apply those to your measurement of your social platform too. All right. I want to just share with you one of my favorite videos, because it shows in real life the kinds of experiences that we put our website users through. I want you to pop in and tell Amy at the end, at which point would you hit the back button on your browser? James, if you could take it away, please.
Hey, just that, thanks.
You sure?
Yeah.
Username?
Nick M?
No.
NM1983?
No.
Zandy Pops?
Sorry.
Zandy Pops?
No, okay. Don't worry, I'll help. What's your postcode?
Oh, it's GU749ZT.
Welcome back, Nick Forever. Please listen carefully to this bread license agreement before continuing with your purchase of a loaf of bread. If you do not, blah, blah, blah. You also agree not to use any bread-based products for any purposes prohibited by United Kingdom law, including without limitation the design, development, manufacture of missiles, chemical, nuclear or biological weapons.
Tick.
I'm afraid you've timed out.
What? Sorry. Hello? Excuse me. Oh, yeah, hey.
Just one loaf, sir.
Yeah, we just...
What's your username?
It's Nick Forever, but number 4, not the...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
OK, I'm just going to check that you're a real person. Could you say that for me?
That's not even a word.
OK, how about this one?
You know what, forget it.
Or this one?
Hippopotamus.
You're in.
Great, I'm in.
£8.85.
It's supposed to be 98 pence.
Plus express delivery.
What's that?
Oh, well, it's express delivery. It's fast. So there's, standard. Standard delivery. That's £4.99.
Why?
Bread insurance. You didn't untick the don't decline bread insurance option.
You know what, I think I'll risk it.
It is quite close to the sell-by date.
Don't care.
98 pence it is. If you want to pop back in 5 business days, it'll be ready for your collection.
Well, I need it now, obviously.
Oh, OK. You want the take-home today price? Well, that's £3.27.
You know what, I'm going to go.
Come back soon.
I won't.
Dear customers, this call will be closing in 10 minutes. Please proceed to the checkout. Please proceed to the checkout. Thank you.
I love that video because it absolutely shows common scenarios that we do put out as a website user. I used to be that I would have left when we did the prove you're a human, the hippopotamize part. Nowadays, I've got even less tolerance of that kind of nonsense, of a long checkout process. I expect things to be easy. So if you make me sign up for an account before you'll even let me buy something, I tend to back out and go and find it somewhere else. But if all I was measuring was whether somebody bought something or not, I could say, oh, my website isn't working. Nobody's buying anything. They mustn't be interested in what I've got to say. Whereas if I set my goals and I look at the different stages and look at the behavior, I'd be able to see that some people left at the account stage, some people left at the hippopotamus stage, some people left at various other stages. So actually, I'd be able to break it down and see what the barriers were. I might get, for those people who, they might get all the way to delivery and ready to hit and find out there's a delivery charge and actually back out and leave then. So it's really worth going a lot deeper to see what's actually going on there. Okay, so let's take a look. And we'll have a look at a real live site now. How data can be used to address some key business questions. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take you into the Google Merchandise Store. So this is the Google Merchandise Store. This is a real live website selling real live kit. So it's official merchandise for different brands such as Google, Chrome, Android, and YouTube. You can find, you can even get yourself, I don't think you can get a Google Digital Garage one, but you can get some kind of hoodies and logos and all the different items. Okay. Google socks. Who wouldn't love Google socks, right? So this is a real live business and it's selling things online right now. And here is their Google Analytics. Now, what I would love it if you could do, everybody sitting at home at the minute, if you have another device, would you mind going in to the Google Merchandise Store for me? Not their analytics account, but go onto Google Analytics, because I just want to check right now. We've got 13 active users, it's showing me. And let's have a look if we can do a little bit of an experiment. So if you've got another device to hand, either search for Google Merchandise Store in your Google search, or hopefully, if Amy wouldn't mind, if she pops a link to Google Merchandise Store, then we can take a look at this together. So we're down at 12 users. I'm hoping what will happen is in a moment or two, you guys will start coming online. I'm speaking to you from the future. I'm about 30 seconds ahead. And then obviously there's some of you guys out there will take a while to type your link in. Then it takes a couple of minutes for it just to appear on the site. So let's take you through it while we happen. But we're running down at about 10 or so active users right now. So what we have here is we have home, which is our get out of jail free. We jump back to home when we need to. Customization, we're not going to look at. We have real-time audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. If I were coming into a website, first thing I would do would be to check out real-time, and I'd click on the overview. And I would just be seeing, so I've done that right here. Okay, can you see we've started increasing the users? We were down at 9, 10, 11. We're now at 15 active users on the site. I can see that of those users, I've got 55% mobile and 45. Our numbers are rising still. And I can see that most people are right now going onto the homepage. Can you see that? Aha! Our numbers are just jumping up again, 28. What is going on right now? We've also got somebody on a tablet. Let's take a look. So what I'm going to do now, I think this is you guys. So what I want to do is I want to check my theory that actually we've got people coming into us from this webinar. So let's click on locations. And right now, and I can tell you, before we did this, Ireland are normally, and I can show you in the overall time, Ireland is normally on the second page, so maybe about 14th on the list of actual viewers to the website. Right now, Ireland has the top number of active users on the Google merchandise store. They've also always have a strong following in India at around. So you can see we've got a heat map of India. There's lovely little, and I love the fact. I don't know if it's always green or they've just turned it green because it's Ireland taking a look. So I can see I've now got 32 users on my site, of whom 60% are probably watching this webinar right now. Now, what sometimes, here we go, we're going up again. I find this so super exciting. So this we can see. Now, this is in the real-time report. You can also get this same data for your whole website. But let's just right now, if I click into Ireland, and I can see the breakdown. Now, this only works, and this is why I gave it a minute. We've got 20 users active on from Ireland at the minute. And I don't know if you can see because it's very, very faded out. But there it is. There's Ireland. And I've got this heat dot map. I've got 12 users coming from Dublin, 1 in Newbridge. Let me know if any of these are you. Got 2 all the way down in Cork, and we've got somebody over there in Galway. So I can see a breakdown of the kinds of regions. And of course, there's sometimes things like, your server might show that it comes up from somebody else. But as a very good high level, I can see that this, which is good because we are in the Eastern region today, and I'm getting these. You guys are coming through and coming on to the site. Now, as I say, we can do this with Google Merchandise. Firstly, because I've got a good, solid number of people looking at the site together. So real time, but it's a great way to show that this is actual human behavior. We all clicked on the website and it reflected itself in the data. And that's what's going on right now as we speak. Oh, somebody's jumped off from, whoever was in Galway is gone. Maybe they weren't to do with us. Okay, so you can see what's going on in there. So I went there to real time and location. Now, realistically, these guys have, 2,000 or something visitors a month. Most small business websites might get 20 a month. So the real time isn't going to be a great active view for them. But what will be are some of the other areas. So I'm back to where are we? I've lost my mouse for a second there. Come on. Okay, back to my menu at the side. Let's take a look at acquisition, because that's where I always start. All right, so acquisition is how people found us. So I've got acquisition, and I'm going to come down to all traffic. Okay, and I'm going to come down to channels. And what I would normally have actually done is go back home in the time. So this is my overview of the different channels, so the different ways people found. Now, I get this run chart, and this run chart is the same kind of, so it shows that most days I've got 2,000 on Wednesday, 2,600 on Thursday, back down to 2,000 on Friday. So I can see the general levels. Now, that's a week's worth of data, and it just looks like a nice pattern. Something that I find really useful is where are we? Come here, little mouse. There we are. See here, I can change the date range of what I'm looking at. So instead of looking at the last week, which is kind of what it defaults to, I'm going to change this. And instead of the date range being a custom date range, and this is really tiny, but it basically says today, yesterday, last week, last month. So I can look at either a 30-day period, or I can take a look at a whole calendar month. It depends what I want to see. And I think then by doing that and applying it, I could also compare it to last month. Or I might compare it to the same month last year, depending on what I'm looking for. But right now, instead of comparing, I'm just going to hit apply, give it a second to do its thing. And this is what I was hoping I might see. So I'm getting about, mid-2000s on a weekday, Friday, comes down Saturday, Sunday. Then I have Monday, high, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I might even find, if I look at a few months, quite often with e-commerce sites, they might see a bump towards payday. So at the very end of the month and then the first few days after, maybe they see a bump. I get so many emails from the places I buy dresses and shoes from that know that they've seen in their data that people like me buy shoes and dresses after payday. So maybe you might see some seasonality there. But I can see that this is a 5 days during the week and then lower visitors on Saturday and Sunday. Now, does that mean that people are sitting at their desks and only looking at Google merchandise when they are working and they don't want to buy these things at the weekend or look at these things at the weekend? Or does it mean that I'm driving people to my website through social media and things, but I'm only posting Monday to Friday because that's when it's convenient to me to post? It asks as many questions as it answers in a lot of these cases. Okay, so I come down and I scroll down the way and I can see that I have got people coming in directly. They knew my email, my web address, and came in through my paid search, through my display, through my affiliates, and I can see the different ways that they're coming through. What I can also see is if I click right up here next to all the different terms, we're currently sorted by the number of users, but there are users and then there are new users, and then there are sessions, and next to each of those is a little question mark. And all of those question marks have a glossary entry. So you can absolutely work out what the terms mean exactly. All right. So the other thing is I can sort by different columns. So here I'm looking at users. I might want to sort by how long people spend on my website. So I can come to average session duration, which is, let's see here. If I then click on average session duration, it reorders those columns, because it might be that I get lots of traffic from, say, social media, but the people who actually spend a longer time. So here we had the people who knew me directly are only spending 3 minutes and 22, which is actually pretty good. To spend 3 minutes and 22 is quite good. But people who came in from a referral spent 14 minutes. But look, that's only one person's come in through referral. So, and every time, and this is anytime something's in blue. So here we have the paid search. I might want to say, okay, looking at my paid search, if it's in blue with an underline on it, I can click and get the next table down. So if I look at my paid search, I get the data table for who's come through my paid ads, my paid search ads. And I can see, I've got a very different run chart on my paid search ads. In fact, looking at it, it's looking, there's no, here Saturday and Sunday were higher than the days on the week on the other sides of them. So it's really worth going deep in and finding out what's going on behind that data. And unfortunately, I've got to stop there because Amy is yelling at me to jump back into the session because we are about to run out of time. I hope that's been a useful look at the how to use data analytics for you. I'm hoping I know Amy's been in the chat answering the questions, and maybe some of those, that little guided tour has helped answer some of those questions too, and given you the confidence, because my next step for you is to have that confidence to give this a go. So pop your next steps into the chat. What are you going to do as a direct result of today that's going to make a difference to your business. It might be to review some of the other webinars. It might be to look again at your website and start getting used to the data you've got. It might be, and I hope it is, to check out the new Google for Small Business website, which is your one-stop shop to find the right tools and resources for your business. That's the step-by-step online success guide, the digital toolkit, and also there's lots of tips for dealing with COVID-19. Amy's going to share a link to that website, and you can also grab it from the description box below. Also, strongly recommend, if you haven't already, and if you want your business to be included in the local enterprise offices look for local national listings ahead of this summer's campaign, then please contact your local enterprise office to find out how. If you want to continue to grow your business online, also contact your local enterprise office and find out about the key supports you can avail of. That's such as the Trading Online Voucher, which will help you to create or enhance your online presence. If you're interested in more training from Google Digital Garage, then you can re-watch any of the 5 webinars now using the links you originally used to get into them, because we've done the full range now. Well, we've done a range of 5 webinars with in collaboration with local enterprise offices. We also have our schedule of upcoming webinar training through Google Digital Garage that you can check out in the link below. Share your experiences on social media. Tell your friends, family, and colleagues about these webinars. Please use the hashtag Digital Garage. And there's also, of course, the Look for Local hashtag as well to use. To carry on your learning in your own time, check out the Google Digital Garage website. There's more online training courses available 24/7. And finally, if you've got any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form linked down in the description box. Once you complete the feedback form, a link will appear and you can download today's content, where, of course, you can also re-watch today's session. Other than that, thank you to James and Amy behind the scenes. Thank you to local enterprise offices for being our wonderful partners in these sessions. And we hope to see you again at another Google Digital Garage webinar sometime soon.